Hello everybody, Seth, Academic Advantage. As a lot of you know, the ACT has changed. As of September, everybody's going to be taking the new enhanced ACT. The benefit here is it's going to be shorter time-wise, a little over 2 hours for the test, and it's going to have fewer questions with more time per question, and that was always a big rub with the ACT. It just didn't give enough time. So we had a lot of our students who they would do the questions, and next thing you know, they would just simply time out and they would be forced to guess, say, on like a quarter of the section. So we're seeing a lot less of that now, and that's definitely a good thing. The science section will go optional, so it'll be a separate score, but you'll have your English, math, and reading all combined as one composite score. What we want to talk about today is I want to show you some math questions. A few tips and tricks with math can make a world of difference. I want to go over a question now. This is a pretty typical one. And I want to show you what we call the science method of solving it. All right, so I need feet per second. So in other words, per means division. So I'm going to have the feet on the top, second on the bottom. Everything else has to cancel. So some of you might remember from, say, like chemistry class, physics, using this kind of method. It does work like a charm over here. So the feet I have right now, it tells me I have 5,280 feet. There we go. And that gives me a mile or 1 mile. So I just want to get mile on the top to cancel with that. And I do have that 30 miles per hour, again, per meaning division. So 30 miles per hour. Okay. And then there's one little conversion for us. I'm going to need hours on the top to cancel with the hours on the bottom. And I do have that because ultimately I need to find seconds. So if we say 1 hour, that does equal 3,600 seconds. And now everything is going to cancel for me. Everything will work out nicely. And there we go. Now we just multiply it out. 5,280 times 30 divided by 3,600, and we get a nice 44H. So let's take a look at another question. This one is also very common. The mistake most kids make here, it's asking for the sum of three positive integers, the total 180, and here's the ratio of the integers, 5 to 3 to 2. We want to find the value of the smallest one. So the mistake most students make is they think the actual numbers are 5 to 3 to 2. No. It could be 10, 6, 4, could be triple these numbers. All we know is it's in this ratio. So the way to solve these is always put a letter after the number. So what we do here is we'd say 5x plus 3x plus 2x, and that's going to equal 180. Solve that out. 8 we'll get 10x, and we would get 180. All right, simply divide out. We got x is therefore equal to 18. And that would be my answer, F. Now, they could throw a little trick at you. They could say, what is the largest of these numbers? So to get the largest of those numbers, you would simply say that's the 5x term. So the 5x would equal 18 times that, or 90. Okay, but you can see that kind of just using a few of these tricks makes all the world of difference. So in our next question, they've combined a few important elements. What's interesting is a lot of my students, especially if they're more advanced math, they're thinking some pre-cal here, even some calculus. Very little of that. Calculus, nothing. Stats, all you're going to see is maybe a few, 2 or 3 pre-cal questions, and a few of those are just basic. If you know SOHCAHTOA, you're going to be fine over here. But in this case, it's combining a little geometry. So that's really it. It's your algebras, geometry. Maybe a touch of stats in there, your basic stats. So going through the geometry, what the question says, we have the rectangle shown, BECE, or partition in the rectangle into 3 triangles, and then the side measures are as given. So one thing to look at over here is that it's important to know that your opposite sides are in fact equal with a rectangle. So once I find one, I know the other by default, and that's really crucial. So what can I use here? Key thing to remember, we're looking at rectangle, we got 4 right angles. So just put those right angles in over here. Crucial thing, we have the 4 right angles, okay, and that's going to help us because what can I use now? Good old Pythagorean. Pythagorean will do the trick. All right, so just good old a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And if you know this is one of the Pythagorean shortcuts. We generally know 3, 4, 5 is one of the Pythagorean triples. 5, 12, 13. This is another one, 7, 24, 25. All right, so if you don't know it, you know, just from memorization, just good old Pythagorean theorem will get you there. So we have 24 over here. That means on the top I have another 24. All right, so I have what I need. And now that allows me to solve for AE. So AE, this is actually the 5, 12, 13, if we look at it. So we double the 5, 12, 13, where we left at, 24, 26. All right, and then this would be 10. So that gives me what I need, the 10. Again, you could use Pythagorean if you need to. So the whole side, A to D, 17, and the opposite side is going to be the same, another 17. So a few little tricks, and what seems to be a really tough problem is now made a walk in the park. So let's take a look at another question here. This is a tough one. We're towards the end of the section. Now it's going to end at 45 as opposed to 60 previously. So we know we're definitely ramping up in terms of difficulty. This is a sequence question. The key thing here is we just have to kind of wrestle and stay with the question. It's kind of more bark than bite. We have what the numbers are for the first 4 terms of the sequence. Now we have to go into the 5th and then the 6th. All right, so if I go with the 5th and I follow their rule, so here's A5. Okay, so I'm going to take the previous term. So this is A5 minus 1 plus n minus 1, which will be 5 minus 1, and we square it. All right, so doing so, I would get a to the 4th. Well, we know what that is. That'll be 16. And then we just take 5 minus 1, 4 squared. We'll get another 16. We get 32. Now, that was a to the 5th. I have to do that just one more time to get a to the 6th. So a to the 6th, and that's ultimately my answer. So I don't have to write it out now. I know that this first term is going to be the previous term, right? Because it's a to the n minus 1. So the previous term was 32. So just put that over here, 32, plus, this will be, in this case, my number is the 6th term I'm looking for, minus 1, square it. So that's going to be 5 squared, 25, 32 is going to give me 57. And that's it. So again, much more bark than bite. So hope you found this video of value. The new ACT is coming up very soon, and I think for a lot of students, they're going to find this a big improvement. We've been working on this over 20 years, so we've seen all the different tips and tricks. Appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel, give us a like. If you find that you need some help with coaching, could use some assistance, just contact us. We work all over the world, and love to help you out.